Hi, and after a long hiatus, welcome to another episode of The Average Joe Hockey Report. In this video, we're going to talk about the two teams that have disappointed me the most, the Calgary Flames and the Florida Panthers. For the Calgary Flames, expectations should have been a lot higher. After acquiring Nazem Kadri, Jonathan Huberdeau, and Mackenzie Weegar. However, here they are now. They are currently 5th in the Pacific Division, and things are not looking good. After doing a breakdown, here's what I feel is the matter with the Calgary Flames. I just feel like there's a lot of players performing very poorly and could be performing better than they should. Um, as it is, I had Jonathan Huberdeau in my hockey pool, thinking that he would light it up and whatnot. And last season Huberdeau had 115 points in 80 games for the Florida Panthers. Currently, at the moment, he's got 18 points in 28 games. This is definitely going to be a downgrade in production. You look at other players that are performing poorly, and you take a look at Mackenzie Weegar. Last season with Florida, 8 goals, 36 assists for 44 points. This year, no goals, 7 assists for 7 points. It's another example of a player underperforming, on Calgary. You can also take a look at Andrew Mangiapane. 55 points in 82 games last season. This year, he's got 14 points in 31 games. I kind of wonder if there's a downgrade going on there. And yeah. Also, what doesn't help is not having Oliver Shillington due to personal reasons. Shillington, last season, 73 games, 9 goals, 22 assists for 31 points. It would be nice to have him this season for sure, because it seems like when it comes to defensive production, it seems like it's up to Rasmus Andersson to do it all. As Rasmus Andersson currently has 20 points in 31 games. The next closest defenseman to Anderson is Noah Hannafin with 13 points, he's not necessarily an offensive juggernaut anyway, so it's not like expectations for him is high. To add to it, the goaltending hasn't necessarily been the greatest regarding Calgary. Jacob Markstrom, save percentage of .892 and goals against of .292. Dan Vladar, only been slightly better. He's only supposed to be a backup as it is. Save percentage is .905. Goals against average of 2.81. So I think that, that unfortunately there's a lot of underperforming players in Calgary. Could it be the Daryl Sutter system? It's a good question. I've often wondered if Daryl Sutter was a modern day coach. I think they could use a coaching change there. And yeah, but we'll see. But unfortunately, it's been a very, I would say, to say the least, it's been a very disappointing season in regards to Calgary for sure. All right, let's take a look at the other team that's disappointed me a bit, and that is the Florida Panthers. Now, the Florida Panthers, don't get me wrong, I felt like they lost depth. Yes, they added Matthew Tkachuk, but they let I thought Huberdeau for Tkachuk would have been good enough. I didn't think they needed to trade away Mackenzie Weegar. I think because they did that they I feel like they lost depth on defense. And so in a way, it's kind of not a surprise that Florida's declined a bit, but I didn't think it would end up being 5th place in the Atlantic. Like even the team like the Ottawa Senators, who is dead last in the Atlantic, they're only 4 points behind the Panthers. Once again, I think that players underperforming. I think it's very similar to the Flames. Players underperforming and coaching. Mind you, I think the defensive production has been better on Florida than it has on Calgary. Because if you look at Brandon Montour, 6 goals, 18 assists for 24 points. And Gustav Forsling, 4 goals, 16 assists for 20 points. So that's been decent. However, you look at some of their other players. You look at Aaron Ekblad, for example. Ekblad, 4 goals, 8 assists for 12 points. This was someone who had 57 points last season in 61 games. He's played 20 so far, and yeah, it's just that's been disappointing. Alexander Barkov, 6 goals, 15 points in 21 games, for 21 points in 24 games. This is somebody that had 88 points in 67 games last season. So once again, I don't like the pace that Barkov's going at. Anton Lundell, I mean, this is only his second season, so it's kind of not necessarily fair to write him off. However, he had 44 points in 65 games last season. Right now, he's got 13 points in 24 games. I just wonder, I often wondered, like, was Paul Maurice the right guy to hire, considering this was someone who put too much emphasis on his veterans, and was very questionable when it came to youth development as a coach. And then to add to it, where is it? Okay, to add to it, Sergei Bobrovsky. It's just he's not necessarily been good. .891 save percentage, goals against of 3.33. That's not good at all. Spencer Knight, he's been better. Save percentage is better at .919, but his goals against at 2.64. Not entirely sure. Not entirely sure about that one. Yeah. So, yeah, this is just my breakdown on those two teams and what's happening. And yeah, this video is mostly based on opinion, and may have no implications on how these two teams will do, or some of the players mentioned will do, for the rest of the season. So remember, if I'm wrong, don't belittle me, educate me. Take care, everyone, and follow my Instagram account, The Average Joe Hockey Report, and my YouTube channel, Marty Tommy, in parentheses, Average Joe Hockey Report.